podcast is sponsored by Anchor. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. It gives you everything you need in one place for free, which you can use right from your phone or computer. Creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great. They'll distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere, even on platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Download the Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started. Once again, you can download the Anchor app, that's ANCHOR, or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hey y'all, my name is Christian, I'm a millennial, and this is the Millennial Mind. Millennials get a bad rap for being lazy, non-productive members of society. We also get told that our opinions are warped and don't matter. This podcast is designed to express a point of view on the world as a whole, but from a millennial's perspective. I will talk about love, current events, pretty much everything that comes to mind. Come join me on this journey on speaking my mind, and I would love for you to speak your mind as well. Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of The Millennial Mind. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey of speaking my mind, and I hope all of you are speaking your mind as well. I've been a little bit solemn and sad and just all around hurt pertaining to the incident that happened on Sunday, January 26, 2020, with Kobe Bryant, his 13-year-old daughter Gigi, and 7 other people. If you're not aware of what happened, Kobe Bryant, an all-star national basketball player who recently retired, his 13-year-old daughter Gigi, and I believe some other members of this basketball team that he's in charge of, and of course the helicopter pilot, died in a horrible helicopter crash in California. And for all of my international listeners, if you're not aware of Kobe Bryant is a well-known American basketball player. He was really good, and not just good, he was just excellent. His drive, his work ethic was impeccable. I remember as a child seeing him play, and I remember Kobe with the fro. Kobe with the fro was just magnetic to me. And I remember when I had a PlayStation, me and my brother, we had this game called Showtime, which was a basketball game, and you could choose all players in like the 2000s. So they had the Shaquille O'Neal, the Dikembe Mutombo, they had Kobe Bryant, of course. So every time I'm playing, I'm picking the Lakers, and more specifically, I'm picking Kobe and Shaq, because I knew that if I had those two, I was going to win the game. And 9 times out of 10, I did. And I wasn't a huge basketball fan, but there was something about Kobe that drew me to him. And I'm sure a lot of other people felt the same way. So I was in shock when I found out about the tragedy that he was involved in. And I actually found out in church. My friend Bridget, shout out to Bridget, she texted me, and usually she calls me the death angel because I'm the one that's usually telling her about celebrities who passed away. This time it was in reverse. She told me that Kobe was involved in the helicopter crash. I'm like, no, he wasn't. I'm like, I'm sure he's fine. And she said the TMZ reported it. So I was like, I'm not going to believe it until CNN reports it, because that's my thing. I want CNN to report it. If CNN reports it, then it's legit. But then I started to see it everywhere, and eventually CNN did report it. I was like, oh, wow, like, what happened? Like, I was on the verge of tears, and it just hurt me to my core, where I was just pretty solemn the whole day, and really the me being solemn kind of carried into this week, to the point where my husband asked me, like, are you okay? And I was like, no, I feel like one of my family members passed away. And I normally don't feel that way about celebrities. Like, the last time I felt that way was when Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston died. Those are the only other two celebrity deaths that I remember that kind of hit me to my core. And now I'm adding Kobe to the list, because Kobe's death, it just hit me. It just like, and it was just shocking. And I think it hit me so hard, and to my surprise, it actually hit other people just as hard as it hit me, was that it was a layered tragedy. Not only did we lose an all-star basketball player who was just beginning to live his life outside of basketball, but we lost children. His daughter was 13, and I believe that there was another girl around Gigi's age that passed away in the tragedy. We lost more than one person. We lost about 9 people altogether in the helicopter crash. And I think I heard one person say that this was supposed to be a normal carpool. It was equivalent to a carpool. It was a rich person's version of a carpool, doing, the helicopter ride, but it was just supposed to be a normal carpool, and I'll get into what happened right now. So it's my understanding that Kobe and the other individuals that were on the helicopter, minus the pilot, were going to a certain part of California to go, I guess it was to go to practice for the team that Kobe created and was in charge of. And it was just a normal, and I'm sure that they did this more than once, but it was just a normal event where they took the helicopter, flew there because it was more convenient, and then they were able to fly back. But this time it was a little bit different. The cause of the crash is, from what I've researched, it looks like it's unknown. They think that there was some heavy fog involved that may have contributed to the crash. So as far as we know, the helicopter crashed into a hillside in Calabasas, California, under foggy conditions. Visibility was so low on Sunday morning that the Los Angeles Police Department grounded its own helicopters. So I believe the air traffic controller, whoever gives the okay for the pilot to fly out, gave him the okay even though the weather conditions were severe. And he decided to fly, and from what I researched, it looked like the helicopter was going fast at one point and then going slow, going fast, going slow. So it was just on and off. At that point, I'm not sure if the pilot thought about grounding the helicopter. I'm not sure. But what wound up happening was that the helicopter crashed into a hillside, and then the crash impact broke the helicopter into pieces, creating a debris field stretching about 500 to 600 feet. According to an article that I read, there is an impact area on one of the hills, and a piece of the tail of the helicopter is down the hill on the left side of the hill. The fuselage is over on the other side of that hill, and then the main rotor is about 100 yards beyond that. So the helicopter was broken into pieces, and there were no survivors. That just boggled my mind. And some people actually caught footage of the actual crash. I watched it once and I was like, I should not have watched it because it was just devastating. I feel for the victims of these individuals that passed away, because their life is never going to be the same. Like Vanessa Bryant, Kobe Bryant's wife, lost not only her husband, but lost her 13-year-old daughter. And sure, some people may think like, oh, she still has 3 more kids, which I think is a little bit insensitive, but they're not like that child. And I've never had a child before, but I can only imagine how devastating it is to bury a child, because you think that it's supposed to be the other way around. Like Gigi, she never experienced high school. She never experienced prom. She never got the chance to date. Never had the chance to get married, allow her dad to walk her down the aisle, have children. There's just so many things that she did not experience because her life was cut short at an early age. And then on top of losing a child, Vanessa Bryant lost her husband as well. And so I was telling my husband, like, who does she grieve for first? Who does she grieve for first? Does she grieve for her husband first, or does she grieve for her child first? Like, what did she do? Like, I absolutely feel for her. Oh, I feel for her. It's just devastating. And I believe that there was some other individuals on the plane. I think it was a husband and the wife and their daughter. And I'm not sure if that husband and wife had other children. But if they did, I'm thinking, okay, they lost both of their parents at one time and then lost a sibling. I'm like, this is just, it almost seems like it's too much to bear. And at one point, I had to cut off social media because I'm like, my emotions are like all over the place. I feel emotionally drained. It was so much that was going on social media after that crash that by the time Monday came, I was like, I need a personal day. I need a bereavement day to get myself together, because it just hit me so much and so bad, and almost to the point where I was in tears. I just felt my whole body just being drained. And the crazy part is that's probably not even half of the pain that these victims' families are feeling. Not even half. So I'm praying for these families. I'm praying for their strength. I'm praying that something good will come out of this situation. I'm praying that God will give them comfort. I'm just praying for them in general. But I know a lot of people, they acknowledged the other individuals on the plane, but they were more sad about Kobe because, of course, his celebrity status. And that's someone that I actually want to talk about today, because there was some stuff I found out about Kobe Bryant that I had no idea about. So we'll go into that now. what do we know about Kobe? What do we know about him? First, we knew that he was a legend. He was a legend on and off the court. So he was a 5-time NBA champion, 2-time NBA Finals MVP, League MVP in 2008, 18-time NBA All-Star, and 4th leading scorer in NBA history. So Kobe Bryant, he was doing the darn thing. He was doing it. And going off of that, he was also an inspiration. And I feel like as a legend is, that doesn't just mean that you're the best at what you do. That means if there is somebody better who is doing it better, you're encouraging them, you're inspiring them to be even better than what you are or what you're doing. And that's what he did with LeBron James. Literally the night before his passing, LeBron James passed up Kobe Bryant as being the third on the NBA career scoring list. So Kobe Bryant was originally number 3, and let me rephrase. So Kobe Bryant was originally in 3rd place, and LeBron James passed him up and took his 3rd place status, where now Kobe Bryant was in 4th place. And instead of Kobe Bryant just being smug about it and being intimidated, he actually encouraged him. He congratulated LeBron James on Twitter and was saying along the lines of, keep going, you're changing the game of basketball, and which I believe was a class act. Not too many people do that. A lot of people are intimidated if they see someone that's better than them or does better than them. No, Kobe was like, yeah, I'm passing the torch to you. You are the person that's going to change basketball. You're going to do more than what I did. And for that, I tip my hat off to Kobe for being a class act. Also, what I found out about Kobe is that he loved his family. If you look through his social media, there's pictures of his children everywhere, especially his daughter, Gigi. So, and I wasn't too familiar with his kids, but when I did some research, I found out Gigi was a beast on the basketball field. She was pretty much Kobe's protege, and Kobe made comments that she was better than him at when he was her age. So he was putting a lot of love and support into her, and I'm sure he was doing the same with his kids and his wife as well. And because he loved his family so much, that's one of the reasons why he got a helicopter. He was sick of the traffic, so coming from the games and coming back home, he would sit in traffic for so long that he would miss key moments in his family's life. And so he said there's got to be a better way around this. So what he did was he investigated helicopters, and that's how he got a helicopter, so that he was able to fly back and forth from his games, fly to his games and fly back home, and it'd take maybe between 15 and 20 minutes. So he loved his family that much that he was willing to, fork out the money in order to be more efficient so that he could spend time with his family. And how he died, though tragic, he died doing something that he loved. And other than basketball, he was with his family, part of his family. He was with his daughter. So you could tell he loved his family. What I didn't know is that he was a businessman. So I found out that Kobe launched a $100 million tech investing fund called Bryant with Jeff Stibble. It was a formalization of the investing the two had already been doing since 2013. A reminder that Bryant began planning for his second act well before he retired. The firm's portfolio has huge household names like Alibaba and Dell, plus stakes in more than 20 early stage companies, including Derek Jeter's athlete blog, The Players Tribune. And that's where Kobe Bryant published his Dear Basketball post that would inspire his Oscar-winning animated short. Legal services startup LegalZoom, Cholula Hot Sauce, wedding site Minted, Fortnite game developer Epic Games, skincare company Art of Sport, Jessica Alba's The Honest Co., and location tracker Tile. Not only that, but he also had a $6 million stake in sports drink Body Armor in 2014, which in 2018 turned into $200 million after Coca-Cola bought a huge stake in the Gatorade competitor. So he was business minded, not only on the court but off the court as well. And then, like I was saying earlier, in 2018, he won an Academy Award for Best Animated Short for Dear Basketball. And that was a movie he created, wrote, and produced based on his own poem. He also launched Granity Studios, which was a multimedia company focused on inspiring content for young people across television, film, and book publishing. So he had a lot going on. After he retired, he was really getting into his businesses, really taking risks, and I'm just so sad that was cut short because I really wanted to see how he embraced his retirement, and it already seemed like that he was doing that. He spoke Italian fluently. I did not know this. He actually lived in Italy for 8 years while his father played in the Italian Professional Basketball League. So he was bilingual. Okay, Kobe. He entered the NBA straight out of high school and played his entire professional career with the Lakers, which is rare. You see so many basketball players that become free agents or they're traded to other teams. Kobe stayed with the Lakers for his whole career. Do you know how much loyalty, how much determination that takes? That's just crazy and unheard of. So Kobe, he was just a well-rounded individual. And it seemed like he was well-rounded on and off the court. So even though his life was cut short, and the lives of those 8 other people, including his daughter Gigi, their lives were cut short. What can we learn from the deaths of these 9 people in total? I came to the conclusion with 4 things that we can learn. 1, get to know God. From what I researched, Kobe was Catholic, so his faith was important to him. So he knew who God was. And it's my understanding that he actually took communion before he got on the helicopter. So faith was important to him. God is just, if death doesn't teach you anything, it teaches you about life. It teaches you about our earthly life and also eternal life. You gotta make sure that you know God, because that's going to be the person that you answer to after this life is over. And I want him to say, well done, my good and faithful servant. You've done good, enter into paradise. That's what I want him to hear, or that's what I want to hear. And if you're experiencing a death like this, whether it's tragic or not as tragic, God is the only one who'll be able to comfort you. He's the only one that's going to be able to provide you peace in a world that's not peaceful, in your life when it's not peaceful, where it's chaotic, like Vanessa. And I'm praying for her that she gets this peace. So God is the source. God is the source here, or even when you're not here. He is the source, and he is the only one that will give you what you need. Also, life is uncertain. Live in the present. We as humans, we dwell so much on the past, dwell so much on the future as far as what's going to happen, what did happen, that we never focus on the present. Because the next second, the next millisecond, the next minute, the next week, the next month, the next day, the next year is not promised to any of us. Like, life is so fleeting. You're here today, you're gone tomorrow. Or not even that, you're here at 7 o'clock and you're gone at 7:01. That's why you have to enjoy every minute that you get. Every minute that you get, thank God that he gives you that minute, because he's giving you that minute for a reason. So don't dwell on the past. Don't dwell on the future, because we don't know if the future is going to be ours. Live in the present. Enjoy what you're doing presently. Enjoy where you are presently, because you don't know what the next second is going to hold. Another lesson that we can learn is live your life the way you want to. And Kobe did that. Kobe absolutely did that. He lived, as far as basketball was concerned, he did what he wanted to do professionally, and after he felt like he accomplished what he needed to do, he was like, okay, it's time for me to retire and spend time with my family. And that's what he wanted to do. That's exactly what he wanted to do. And I feel like Kobe, when he looks over his life, I feel like he wouldn't have any regrets. Maybe he would. I'm not sure. But I'm thinking, just from the outside looking in, that he wouldn't have any regrets as to how he lived his life. He did the best that he could. He did the best as he could professionally. He did the best that he could personally. Of course, some people may bring up the, I believe it was sexual or assault or rape charges that happened when he was 24. Yes, and that's acknowledged. But one thing that I will say on that is, I would feel a different kind of way if he kept repeating that cycle over and over again. But it seemed like he learned from his mistake. He rectified it. He rectified the issue within his marriage, and then he moved on. And that's all we can do as humans. But outside looking in, it looked like Kobe didn't have any regret as far as how he lived his life. And then another lesson that we can learn is love your loved ones today. Yes, because your life is fleeting and their life is too. I'm sure Vanessa, on the morning of January 26th, when she kissed her husband goodbye, said, hey, I'll see you later. Kissed her daughter goodbye. Said, hey, I'll see you later. I know she wasn't thinking like, yeah, in about an hour, I'm going to get a call saying that my husband and my daughter is dead. I'm sure that was the furthest from her mind. And I'm sure that if she knew that that was going to happen, she would have planned that day a lot differently. But the thing is, you don't know. You don't know if your loved ones are going to be taken from you um, on any given day. You just don't know. So you have to forgive. You have to appreciate your loved ones where they are, even if they annoy the heck out of you. Because you don't want to have any regrets if something tragic or anything, not even tragic, but anything happens to your loved ones. Like, for example, my mom, when I go to church for a Bible class, she follows me home. Now, my mom, she lives about 10 minutes away from me, so it's not bad. But she follows me home to make sure I get into the house because usually my husband is asleep. So I'm thinking in my head, why does she have to follow me home? It doesn't make sense. And it's not like she can do anything. I probably could do more than she could, but I realized, it's just my mom being my mom. And, she's always concerned about me, always wants to make sure that I'm safe and that nothing has happened to me. And that's something that I had to appreciate. I just learned to appreciate it, and I just let it go. I'm like, okay, Christian, if something would have happened to your mom, you would have been thinking like, man, I would give anything for her to follow me home now. But, and I never want to be at that point. So I'm just learning how to appreciate my loved ones, love them while I can, because I don't know when or where they'll be taken from me. And it's a scary thought. It's so scary. And I just feel for these family members. I really do. Because not only did they lose their family members just so suddenly, but the way that they lost their family members was just tragic. Oh, it was so tragic. And I'm going to try not to cry. But I think that's why this incident hurt us so much more than we expected, because it was so many layers in this tragedy. It wasn't just something that was involving a celebrity, but there were children, there were parents, there were sisters, brothers, daughters, sons that lost their lives just in an instant. And it's just something that we never expect to happen. And it's just proof that we just need to appreciate life, appreciate life being, or understanding and acknowledging that life is so fragile, and living life every day like it's your last. So that's pretty much all that I have for you all today. Let me know, did this Kobe Bryant incident hurt you as much as it hurt me? Let me know. Email me at mindofmillennials@gmail.com, or you can give a comment on our Facebook page, The Millennial Mind. And before I let you guys go, I wanted to give a quote, as I usually do. And this is from Kobe. This is from Kobe Bryant himself. And it says, everything negative, pressures, challenges, is all an opportunity for me to rise. Thanks, Kobe, for what you have imparted into all of us, whether you knew us or not. We will always cherish your life and your legacy. And rest in peace.